Yeah, you have, and I've been watching them. Fantastic content, guys, coming out of Keri. Give her a follow when you get a chance. All right. So you hit. I wasn't sure if you were going to dive right into the fact that you were behind bars or whatever kind of villainous way our society wants to put
I
it.
mean,
Um,
I
you
wrote a
know,
book about it. Like, I'm not trying to hide it anymore.
no, no, no. So that's great. I just, I want to be, kids' gloves at the start. But I mean, what's the worst meal you ever got fed in jail?
Ooh, it's funny. I think I just did a post about this. It was
You did.
like,
You
yeah.
asked all your friends, but I didn't get your answer.
Oh, it was when there was maybe my second day in prison. There was a cockroach that crawled out of the bowl of cereal.
Oh
But that
no.
is
What kind
by
of?
far not even, that's not even close to like the worst foods that I've seen. Because when I started covering Texas,
Oh no. What the fuck just happened? I think she hit her phone. That's all right, guys. We'll bring it back. Oh, withdraw. There we go. TikTok does not want this interview to
it does
happen. They are
not.
doing everything they can. We're back. Take the floor. You were saying
Oh, hey,
cockroaches, the tip of the iceberg.
so yeah, I was just saying that when I was covering Texas prisons, I had a lot of sources that were guys in prison with contraband phones, and they were sending me like pictures of the food that they were getting, and that was just some of the grossest shit I've seen. Like, I actually wrote a story about it. I think the headline is something like, "Ooh, what is that?" Which I
That's
think
about
really says
right.
it all. And
Yeah,
everything that came
that's
forward
I
with
can
that, I
picture
said,
the
"Oh no."
headline perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah, I
um,
think the one that really stood out for like the worst meal that I have seen was probably the one that during COVID lockdowns, they were feeding them all in their cells in Texas prisons, which they were doing in a lot of places. But there was one guy that like sent me their meal, which was a hot dog with a tortilla, like a plain hot dog, no bun, with a tortilla and a raw uncooked potato.
I mean, could they? I guess you could make maybe some moonshine with the potato at least, right? Silver linings.
I
Could you
mean,
like ferment the
it's kind
potato?
of hard
Like
to
that would
do
take some
that
time,
in
but
solitary, you know? Like, you just,
yeah, it
like,
is kind of
having the
hard to do
tools for
that.
that
Yeah,
is difficult. Plus, honestly, like, they were getting so many drugs smuggled in
unbelievable.
by the guards anyway, you know?
God bless them. Wow. Okay, so much to unpack there. Can I ask? I want to know a bit more, Keri, if it's okay to ask. What landed you there?
I was in for drugs.
Yeah.
I had been doing heroin like off and on for, I guess, like 9 years at that point. And then I got arrested while I was in college and I got sentenced to a little under 2 years. And I mean, it was on the one hand, like some people will tell me, wow, that's a lot of time for a nonviolent drug possession case. But like on the other hand, I was arrested in New York, which I think we think of now as like a blue liberal state. But,
Sure.
that was also home to the very draconian Rockefeller drug laws. And
Oh, they are not nice to
yeah,
criminals in New York, man. They are pretty fucking ruthless, actually. I mean, that
if I
goes back.
gotten if I gotten arrested like 5 years earlier, I would have gotten 15 to life, and I would actually
What
still
the
be in prison.
fuck?
Yeah.
You know, and that's just it. There's up here in Canada, certainly that seems like a long sentence, the 2 years. But having said that, there's that debate, right? Because I do know habitual. I've seen it happen where they in fact, our shit's so backed up and overcrowded. I've heard stories of the same person committing 100 crimes in a year because they just catch and release, but it's like there's no
Oh
rehabilitation there. So I
wow.
know there's a fine line, but obviously, like, thank God you didn't go away for 15 years because we would have been robbed of the stuff you're doing now, which is like that's the tragedy of it all. And I do gotta say, we keep it as unbiased as we can here. I mean, except for my own personal ones, which I'm not shy about, but I am always for rehabilitation. Recidivism is the main reason we have criminals. Like, they make criminals by arresting us. This is all stuff that I think most of us in this chat right now can get behind. So we're happy you made it out, frankly.
Thank you.
So um, let's get into the Mexico stuff because I did have that at the top of my list because I found it shocking. And but maybe it shouldn't be that shocking. You went down there and essentially you were tasked with like buying over the counter pills and seeing what you could get. And what did you find? I know what you found, but tell everyone what you found while you were doing that.
Yeah, so I had gotten a tip from a friend who'd been in Cabo and had gone into a pharmacy and they'd offered her oxycodone over the counter, which she found alarming because that
Yeah.
is not an over the counter medication, even in
Yeah.
Mexico. It's actually more tightly controlled in Mexico than it is in the US, so it
Wow.
should be really hard to get. And she thought that was suspicious, so she tested it, found that it came up positive for fentanyl. And she called me, and I was like, damn,
Jesus.
that's the story. So a colleague and I went down, and we went to, in the first round of testing, we went to Cabo and San Jose del Cabo and Tijuana, and we bought Percocet and Adderall over the counter at, mostly like small independent pharmacies, because like the big chains are generally not doing this, like Aura or like Guadalajara, like the big chains.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but your regional chains and mid-sized pharmacies are and independent pharmacies are doing this some, and they're just selling tightly controlled substances over the counter. Or actually, in the case of Adderall, Adderall is not legally prescribable at all in Mexico. So if you find Adderall in a store in Mexico, like
Wow.
it's either diverted from the US or it's just not Adderall. Um,
What the
so we bought
fuck?
them, we tested them, we found that most of them were, most of them came up positive for other things. Mostly the opioids were fentanyl and the Adderall was mostly meth. And then we started testing
Wow.
other places, and in like Tulum or Playa, one of the Adderall was actually ecstasy, which
Jesus Christ.
seems like an idea,
Imagine
but it's
popping that thinking you're going to
right,
focus on your day's work. You just got the
right.
tunes cranked, getting her going like fucking
You're just
Christ.
like feeling your desk and your computer,
I took some Adderall. I have no idea what's happening. Um,
right?
and you said meth too. Like that's, I mean, I guess that's maybe Adderall and meth kind of are like brother and stepsister,
Right.
similar
No,
vibe.
it's
But like,
what to me seems like the biggest problem with that one is like, first of all, if you're in the US, if you bring that back to the US, which like you're not supposed to, but if you do, and you get stopped and they drug test, like, and they test it, like, you're getting charged with meth.
bye
Or
bye.
like,
Yeah,
if you have a job and you think you're taking your Adderall because like, there's the shortage here, maybe you ran out, you thought you were going to get some in Mexico, and then like
sure.
you fail a drug test or something. That seems like that would be incredibly problematic, but not as deadly as switching out Percocet for fentanyl, surely.
Fentanyl is fucking, that's just fucking malicious. But yeah, that's not a fun surprise either. Here's your piss test. You're positive for meth and
Right?
ecstasy. Um,
Right.
be careful, folks. Buying over the pill, over the counter pills from Mexico is the lesson here. So, what do you think's going on? Like, is it pharma companies working with cartels, like some sort of Gus Fring, Los Polos Hermanos situation? Like, what the fuck? How are they getting it into the Adderall bottles?
So I think that, well, actually, I have one of the Adderall bottles here. I think I do.
No shit.
Yeah, I brought back an empty bottle. I don't remember if I put it down here. Oh, I'm not sure where I put it now, but yeah, I have. Kept one of the empty bottles from it. But basically, they are. It seems like they're just making their own bottles that are not great quality. But in many cases, they're also just selling individual pills out of a bottle. But in terms
Yeah,
of like how it's getting into the pharmacies, I think I think there's a few possible mechanisms. Like regardless, it's coming from cartels. Like that's pretty clear.
yeah,
Um, but the question is, are the cartels just wholesale buying pharmacy chains? I think in some cases they might have done that because that's a thing they've done in other industries, just bought up the whole
sure.
industry. And I
Just
think there's a
fucking,
couple regional pharmacy chains that I think are kind of sus that could have happened with. And then more commonly, when you're looking at the small independent stores, I sort of think that, either enterprising store owners were like, geez, people keep asking for this Percocet shit, let me go find some. Or cartels are going to them and being like, hey, you're going to sell our pills or we're going to kill you. Because that
yeah.
is the thing that they've done in other industries.
Wouldn't be the first time. I got to tell you, that seems. I mean, that's. How do you fix that? I don't even fucking know. There's no fixing that. I mean, all right. So Mexico, we covered. I want to jump into. I'm going to go back here a sec. I want to break down a couple things. This may seem rudimentary for you, but I think it's valuable for everyone paying attention. What's the difference between a county-run jail versus a private prison?
Yeah, this is actually something that I feel like I get a lot of questions about.
For
So,
sure.
first of all, the difference between a county jail and a state prison in general is that, county jail is where you go when you've just been arrested. Usually the people there are being held like pre-trial, so they haven't been sentenced yet.
Right.
And then it's often run by an elected sheriff. That's not true in every state.
Okay.
Some states like Pennsylvania, that's, a hired, like appointed position. Rikers Island is run by a commissioner that is appointed. But
Sure.
in most states, the jail is run by an elected sheriff and it holds people who have not been convicted generally. Whereas
How
state
long
prison,
can someone, sorry, Keri, how long
oh,
can someone get stuck in a county jail? Like, is that a few months usually, or can that be years? I'm just
it
curious.
wildly varies. So,
Okay.
I think the average stay in jail is something like, I mean, it's a few months. I don't remember the exact figure nationally, but
Right.
it's not terribly long. And in most states, the maximum time would be somewhere around 1 or 2 years, because different states have different rules. Like that, if it's a sentence of more than X amount of time, then you have to go to prison.
Right.
However, in California, you can end up staying in county jail a lot longer because they, in 2011, had something called justice realignment, which is when their prison system was too overcrowded and they got
Right.
told they had to do something about it. So they decided to solve that by sending a bunch of people in prison to jail, like saying many offenses that would go to prison before are now going to go to county jail. So
Okay.
here
So
you
they
can
started,
be,
they
yeah,
were playing Frogger with all the inmates, essentially, trying to find a nice big
yeah.
cell for them to chill out in. Nice.
So like here you can be in the county jail for years.
And you're in LA.
Yes, I'm in
So
LA.
can you talk, what do you think? So I know from watching your videos that death tolls in prisons are on the rise recently. What's that mean? What can we do to stop that? Is this inevitable? Is it an aging population? I know that there's a lot of factors at play there, but I think we know the answer here you're about to give, but I just want to hear what your take on it.
Um, I think fundamentally it's about not having adequate healthcare resources for people in jails and prisons. Like we just don't spend enough money on it. There's a lot of
Oh,
other problems, like, prisons are just not meant to be like health sustaining environments.
no, they're meant to make money in the States anyways.
Well, some of them. I
Yeah.
mean, this is the funny thing is like people say this a lot, like that, that prisons are so bad because it's, a profit, motive, and because they're trying to make money. Most states, it costs like the state a shit ton of money. Only like 15% of, less than 15% of prisons are private prisons. So those are the only ones that are turning a profit.
That's shocking. So that's
I
so
know.
shocking to me because
I
it
know.
seems like it's way higher, but I guess, I mean, 15%. How many people are locked up in America right now? I should have pulled that stat, but I feel like
I
you might
think we're
know.
under 2 million now, but
Okay. Okay.
it's hovered around there. But, I think the reason that people think that is because it's so egregious. Like you can very easily understand why, for-profit private prisons are a just extremely problematic idea. And I
Yeah.
think that when people see something that is just clearly an egregious human rights violation and it's something that's happened like that could have been prevented if you just spent more money on people, I think that a lot of people just sort of think, oh, that's obviously because they're being cheapskates because they don't want to lose, they don't want to eat into their profits. But, the reality is that prisons are capable of being extremely shitty even without the profit motive.
Fucking excellent point. I got to address a comment I just saw. Nola Patriot, God bless you. They lock up innocent people every fucking day. just for the record. And you better hope that laser beam never gets pointed at you, because if you've ever read Franz Kafka's The Trial, you understand that once you're in the system, you are in it for fucking life, and that is how they want it. But don't worry. I think back then he was worried about, tracking and keeping tabs on you. They do that to all of us now anyways. So you don't, that's already done. But frankly, that's a bad take, Nola. Okay. It's okay. I understand you're frustrated with the system. You're angry. We're all angry. Let's get that focused on the right things. Sorry. Just wanted to make a quick comment there, Keri. Okay. So I got to ask you, how did you come up with the code you wrote out while you were in prison? And if anyone's wondering what I'm talking about, Keri showed this crazy ass piece of paper that had like coded, writing in it. And then that's just follow-up question. Did you ever try and decipher the Zodiac Killer's puzzles? Because I'm very curious. Oh, I hope she has it. Yeah.
I was looking to see. I might have put that away. I think. Oh wow, I do have random shit here though. I have none of this is what we're looking for. I have like a lot of other.
No stress. We keep it laid back here, Keri.
You know what I have? This is completely off topic, but I love it. I got this online. It says, "Of course I smoke seaweed. I'm a mermaid."
Beautiful. Beautiful. In fact, the moderator's name of my chat is Indica Kitten. We are very pro expanding the mind in such a way. But I think I got booted off TikTok Live today for talking about it too much. So I'm on like
oh, really?
We're not talking about it. Yeah, I think it was maybe I showed my baby plants in the back. I'm up here.
Oh. Is that legal there though?
So we can grow, yeah, fully on. We can grow 6 plants. 6 plants per person. Yeah, so.
That's weird that they would knock it off then if you were, doing something legal,
Well, because TikTok doesn't take that into account. It says no to that stuff across the board. Doesn't matter what country you're in. Yeah, I found that out the hard way. All good, all gravy. But okay. Have you ever taken a shot at any like Zodiac? Have you ever tried to crack a puzzle, or was that just while you were in prison? You were fucking around with the what do they call that? Cryptography, sort of, I guess, or you're just
cryptography would be map making, right?
Am I that stupid? Yeah, whatever the coding where you're coding. Yeah, like have you ever tried to decode some serial killer message or anything like that? What have you done with the tools? I mean, maybe. I think they caught the Zodiac Killer. Or no, they ended up saying it wasn't him.
No, we elected him for office in Texas.
Oh, yo, I've never heard this theory. Please,
no,
please,
the joke that Ted Cruz is the Zodiac Killer.
Oh, Ted Cruz could definitely. Right. Ted Cruz has killed way more people than the Zodiac Killer. Let's be real. just by talking to them. Sorry, that one fucking got me. Yeah, God bless Ted Cruz, that awful human being. They're all awful, folks. What should we know about Anthony Sanchez? And so, Anthony Sanchez is the fella who's been on death row for, I think, 22 years in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I was just looking to see if there was any updates on that since I posted that video. I posted the video because it's this guy who's one of the 25 people scheduled for execution in Oklahoma who, there's no update since I posted that video, who had asked to call off his clemency hearing. And I did a video about it, although it's not that unusual for people to drop their appeals or just ask to be executed. About 10% of the people who are executed are called volunteers, meaning that they drop their appeals or whatever. Every time I do a video about that, people are like, oh my God, that's horrifying, but it's actually not particularly uncommon. Oh wait, I did find the Adderall bottle. This is really interesting. So this is like, we went into a store and asked to buy Adderall and they sold us this. And you can see they have the little, they have the peso price on the side, but what's interesting is this bottle's in English. We bought it in Mexico.
That is very interesting, isn't it?
Dextroamphetamine saccharate. That's the English word for it because it
What
should have
the
said
fuck?
dextroamphetamina if it were
Right.
in Spanish. And then all the other shit here on the side is in English. Um, and there was two typos in here. But the thing that was really interesting was this has an NDC number up here. I don't know, you can't see what it is, but
Not quite. Not
yeah,
quite. I'll be able to zoom in
above the
after,
title it
but
says NDC, and it has number. And NDC is a drug control code in the US. So like that's something that the FDA puts out. Like there's no reason for it to be on any it shouldn't be on any bottle of legitimate pills being sold in
no
Mexico,
shit.
you
I
know?
see someone saying maybe because it's marketed to Americans, maybe they print it in English. Like, I guess that could be possible.
Yeah, that's I mean, yes, they're illegally, like, illegally,
Yeah.
yes.
So
Like,
Mexico, like they don't
under,
even.
like, I mean, regardless, there shouldn't be a U.S. drug control number and no Mexico drug control number,
That's a
you
fucking
know?
very good point. What the fuck, eh? So then they're manufacturing, packaging it up, shipping it on down to the cartel-run pharmacies to sell to Americans and Mexicans that want some Adderall. Hey, I guess
No,
the
I
drug.
don't think this bottle was made in the U.S. This bottle was, I think it's a pretty basic bottle. Like it's not complicated. You can just buy these online, print
Sure,
out a label, and put
sure.
it on. Um, this
Okay.
because what?
I just said okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean shit. Someone just said capitalism at its finest. They're just clever entrepreneurs. God bless their hearts. Um, what'd you do with what was in the bottle? Did you just like chuck it, or did you guys like have a fun night at least?
We definitely chucked it. Definitely chucked it because
Good.
honestly, like, man, I know I did a lot of drugs in my 20s and shit, but like I was just like as a, you know, 38-year-old, I was like I'm not just doing random drugs that I don't know the
Well,
quality or the dose or anything. And I can't believe 20-year-old me did so much of that.
well, you know what's fucked up, and I actually thought of this just kind of mid through. When I was 17, I went down to Mexico, and we were little rebels without a cause. So we went into the pharmacies, and we asked to buy perks over the counter, and the guy did exactly what you described. He opened the bottle and like poured out, four or
Oh
five,
wow.
and we bought some, and we popped those motherfuckers like it was going out of style. And you do look at that, it's like that's fucking insane. But I mean,
But
you
back
know,
then that probably didn't seem as insane because there weren't so many fake pills.
fair. No,
You
yeah, we
know?
were the fentanyl. I mean, the thing people forget, like I'm sure you're aware of, is like fentanyl has been a problem off and on for like decades. I mean, that shit came up in the late 90s, I believe. It was a big deal, and then it kind of seems like they kind of take it replaces, then it's oxy, then it's fentanyl, and then it's back to whatever. And in the end, they just keep pumping us full of it regardless. But yeah, we definitely did that, and before anyone goes and it's like, oh, how could you be a store owner to do that? It's called poverty, bro. It's called fucking trying to fucking provide for your family. And I mean, in
Well,
the end,
yeah. I
I
also
don't
think
know.
there's a possibility that, some people are just being threatened. It's not about like, it's not necessarily about poverty. It might just be
Yeah,
about, the cartel mandates that I do this. I also
yeah,
think it's possible that some people don't know. They just think they're getting some black market pill and maybe it's not what it's supposed to be, but like, they're probably not asking a whole lot of questions to discover that this is fentanyl.
yeah. I mean, it could be as simple as, hey, we're coming to your store at the end of every week, and you have X amount of money for us, or guess what? Your family gets to meet your grandparents up in heaven. Like it could be as simple as that. I mean,
Yeah.
and then actually, if you combine that with poverty, you're left with no choice. So
Yeah, well, I mean, we're hoping to investigate further. So
I
we'll see.
cannot wait. We will be guys. Stay posted on that. So wait, so okay, just going back to Anthony Sanchez. How much money do you think we're spending to try and murder this guy? Like the state itself, couldn't we just hire someone from the cartel to do it for way cheaper?
Um, so there's been a lot of studies in terms of like how much it costs to see a death death penalty case through to execution, and it varies a lot by state. But I mean, in any state, it's multiple times more expensive than it would be to just let them live in prison. And it's so funny because people say all the time,
Sure.
like, "Oh, I don't want to pay for this guy to stay alive." Like, it actually costs like 10 times that to execute them. Partly because of the appeals, partly because of
Wow.
like the higher security, death
Oh yeah.
row conditions. And
Quality assurance of the drugs, all that shit is expensive
the
as fuck.
drugs are not as expensive as you would think. What is expensive is the amount of money that states spend on litigating what drugs they're allowed to use. Because,
Okay.
they'll try to
Yeah,
use
yeah.
shady drugs that are, they bought on the black market from India. Like that really
Right.
happened.
Yeah.
Um, Arizona got caught buying
I
black market
remember.
from India.
I
Yeah.
remember. Yep. It was, then they had like three botched, was it that the play where it was like three botched executions in a row? Like horrible deaths. Terrible fucking deaths.
I don't
May have
even
been.
remember because that's also happened in Oklahoma and
Yep.
Alabama. Alabama botched a lot of them.
I think it might be Bama that I'm thinking of
Yeah.
that had like a string there where they were like 3 for 3. Just
Yes.
fucking horrible.
Yeah.
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 Could we maybe, so what about the guy that did Epstein? Do you think he could maybe just take care of Anthony Sanchez? Do you think Epstein killed himself?
Um, you know, I just I feel like I don't think there's like any reason to think it's so impossible for him to kill himself. That was one of the things that struck me is like when this all started happening to people, like there's no way. Like, yeah, there's absolutely a way. Like people do that all the time. Guards don't pay attention. It doesn't matter what level of supervision is supposed to be in place. Like people under direct supervision where someone is literally supposed to be sitting there staring at your cell at all times still managed to do that. So I think the whole idea that the scenario on its face doesn't make sense is just not true.
I dig the nuanced look at it. It's an easy home run to just say absolutely not. He didn't kill himself, but I appreciate the actual touch of real journalism. And I mean, Keri, I don't know how familiar are you with the channel, but this has been something growing over the last year, and we dabble and we do our best. But you are the real deal out there doing real reports. And I just want to say, you know, thank you because you probably don't hear it enough. So for real, and on top of that, I love the redemption. I love the redemption angle. I've had struggles with addiction in my life, and to overcome that's huge. And I know a lot of our viewers can relate. And frankly, locking someone up, taking them out of the equation is never the right answer, in my opinion. If it's possible to, you know, get them back in the game, that's the way it should be. And frankly, I think that might be a good place to kind of close it out. I know you said you had half an hour, so we're
I have to
over a
go file
little.
a story right now. So
Okay, so
yeah,
is there anything else you want to say? And honestly, any shots you want to take? We are a community that goes back and forth. Yeah, I'm all ears. We're all ears, and yeah, and closing sentiments from you.
um, you know what? I will come back in a few weeks when I have some video. We talked
Nice,
about this.
nice.
So
Okay.
yeah, from the story that I did on the video from inside Men's Central Jail, I should have some more of that and hopefully some that I can share with you in a few weeks.
We
So
would be delighted. You stay safe in the meantime, and everyone go follow, and I'll be reposting your shit moving forward, Keri, and